يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما يخلفون ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يئوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.
Thank you for our President, thank you for the Vice President, thank you for all the members of the Council, thank you for the governors, thank you for the chairman, thank you for all leaders in this country at this point in time. Heavenly Father, we ask for wisdom from high, guide the affairs of this country. Grant us understanding in all that we do, and that at the end of this shall have cause to give glory.
Your Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Vice President, the Deputy Senate President representing the Senate President, Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, members of the National Assembly here present, members of the Federal Executive Council, service chiefs, heads of security and intelligence agencies, senior government officials, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, Mr. President, as you are aware, the national security strategy is up for review, has been reviewed, and is due for launching at this occasion today. It is my privilege at this time to invite the National Security Advisor over here to come and make introductory remarks on the significance of this event.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Vice President, the Deputy President of the Senate, Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, members of the National Assembly here, members of the Federal Executive Council, the Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, heads of security agencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. In the course of my remarks, I might have the tendency for my voice to stutter or falter. I beg your indulgence. This is because I'm suffering a severe bout of malaria as well as a cold. But the Kanuri in me insists I should fight till the bitter end. So let me commence by saying that a significant concern for nations in the 21st century is the ubiquitous nature of security threats as well as the increasing frequency with which they occur. Added to this are the unpredictable consequences, especially in terms of specificity of targets and the devastating effects these incidents have not only on humans, but also physical structure. Now, this has led most nations to develop strategies which are primarily driven by their own individual national interests, which are at the same time compatible with the universal philosophy of national security as it stands in this troubled century. Obviously, these countries have been motivated by their own dark experiences in terms of perpetual conflict, especially those that are fratricidal in nature. And this has led them to insist on improving the security situations and developing an abiding passion for enhancing peace and security in these nations. Now, for Nigeria, the National Security Strategy, its maiden edition was published in 2014. Ever since then, evolving trends in the security environment have given rise to new and more complex challenges, thus necessitating a review of this national security strategy based on the timeline of 5 years, which is stipulated for the review of this strategy. Therefore, at the instance of Mr. President, I convened a committee of experts drawn from the various departments and branches, relevant branches of government, to undertake a rigorous review of this strategy, drawing inputs from various ministries, departments, and agencies. Thereafter, I tasked this committee with the formulation of the National Security Strategy of 2019. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to present the outcome of this work of the committee, which is a national security strategy, and it addresses the current threats faced by the Nigerian nation, as well as those threats that are anticipated to emerge in the near future. We have also proffered appropriate strategies to address these threats, which demand a whole-of-government approach in combination with a whole-of-nation approach to achieve a whole-of-society approach in dealing with these challenges. Now, this is critical because a perceptible trend in the national security landscape is that the traditional clear-cut issues of internal and external security as it affects us today in a globalized world without borders are no longer the sole requirements for categorizing national security risks. Therefore, in the context of today, there is a vigorous interaction between internal and external threats, thereby creating a complex constellation of threats and risks to all of us. Now, let me give you an example. The issue of insurgency in the Northeast is directly linked to the issue of terrorism in the Sahel, which is an increasingly volatile neighborhood. And the situation in the Sahel is also derived from what is happening in Libya, which in turn is affected by the lack of security in Syria, which derives its own situation ultimately from Iraq. Now, when we look at the issue of farmers and pastoralists' perpetual conflict, it is also linked to the influx of armed groups and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons across porous borders. In our own case, we're talking of some 4,047 kilometers of land borders. Again, when you look at the upsurge in armed banditry, it is part of a sphere of transnational organized crime which is affecting us. And looking at the Niger Delta situation, basically the activities of criminal gangs in the Niger Delta are equally linked to pipeline vandalism, oil theft, piracy and sea robbery in the Gulf of Guinea. Now, this has brought about untold problems and placed our maritime economy in dire straits, while at the same time putting in a difficult situation our energy infrastructure. Now, in all of these situations, traditional law enforcement agencies have used various approaches, and these approaches are complemented by the robust responses of our armed forces, security, and intelligence agencies. Nonetheless, this national security strategy has decided to embark on a comprehensive and multidimensional approach to solving these challenges. Now, the core philosophy of this national security strategy is human security. This is a shift from the state-centric orientation we've been used to a new paradigm in which the safety and well-being of the individual citizen is the primary basis for all national security measures. And this is what I call the Muhammadu Buhari approach to national security in this day and age. Currently, our national security strategy tries to mitigate adverse national security indicators in its desire to achieve the delivery of positive governance outcomes for all the people of Nigeria. Now, in so doing, this document takes a comprehensive look at how to enhance the capacity of security agencies and how they need to collaborate with each other. Now, as we consolidate on the successes of peace building in the Northeast and the Niger Delta, the clear lesson for all of us here is that the key to sustainable peace and development is to guarantee security both in terms of economy and social status for everybody. Now, what the strategy does is to look at our national security objectives and align these objectives with this administration's goals in fighting corruption, giving access to improved education, taking care of the healthcare problems, as well as increased productivity in the agricultural sector. But rooted in this strategy are issues that may not be very visible to the naked eye, but issues which have tended to be malignant and have continued to cause a lot of greater problems for this society. Fundamentally, if we are going to take care of this problem, we need to try and safeguard the fast-growing young population of Nigeria. And guess what? We need to look at issues of poverty, eradication, and illiteracy. The issue of illiteracy is directly linked to the issue of children not going to school. This Al-Majiri phenomenon, which we've been talking about, we cannot continue to push it under the carpet, because what? Eventually it will come back to bite us in the butt big time. We need to deal with this issue, and it is a responsibility for all of us to try and take care of this issue without any inhibitions. I'll tell you one thing. The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, in its pursuit for greater and enhanced security, will not allow itself to be blackmailed or handcuffed by the disarming philosophy of compliance with certain aspects that are socio-cultural in nature and which people tend to be averse to dealing with. We must grab the bull by the horn and deal with these issues. Now let's look at the inclusive composition of this committee I set up. Fundamentally, it's a demonstration of our commitment to participatory policy making in the security sphere. So what we have done is to try as much as possible to engage all security agencies to deal with these issues in a collaborative manner. That is for security agencies. Secondly, for all of us working in government, there's a need for us to enhance collaboration at the regional, global, and continental level because of the very transnational nature of insecurity in the globe today. Now, this national security strategy also has taken a look at the various aspects of individual ministries, departments, and agencies, and therefore there's also the need for all of us to work, not just the security agencies. As the old adage goes, security is everybody's business. And finally, permit me to state that this national security document is an executive document which should serve as a broad construct for departments and agencies of government so that they understand the intention of the executive leadership of this country in delivering to the people what it promised pre-election period. Secondly, it should be seen as a strategic communication tool for both the domestic and foreign audiences. Now, this national security strategy, in essence, is a national document bearing the collective seal of ownership and public confidence of the entire citizenry of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is therefore with a greater sense of responsibility, duty, and humility that I present the National Security Strategy of 2014, which is a cornerstone document that enshrines the deep, abiding commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari to ensuring that Nigeria is a secure, peaceful, and prosperous nation. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, National Security Advisor. They say they speak good grammar from King's College. Those of us who have been to Gorea College are contesting that. Your Excellency, Mr. President, after your speech, there will be the launching of the report of the strategy. And to join Mr. President in launching this document, His Excellency the Vice President, the Deputy President of the Senate, representing the Senate President, the Honorable Speaker, the National Security Advisor himself, Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior, Minister of Police Affairs, the Secretary to the Government, and the Chief of Staff to the President. And there will be also a group photograph after all of that. Your Excellency, Mr. President, it's time for you to make your remarks and to launch the new national security strategy.
That was good.
House of Representatives, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, members of the Federal Executive Council, Service Chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, Chief of Defense Intelligence, and other heads of security and federal military agencies, senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to this important occasion. As you all know, the various security challenges confronting our nation have made it necessary for the articulation of a comprehensive and coordinated response that involves all segments of our society and all elements of our national power. I am very pleased to note that the National Security Strategy of 2019 is a product of painstaking and rigorous deliberations by relevant stakeholders committed to the task of safeguarding our nation from both internal and external threats. It represents a thoughtful, strategic, and practical expression of our resolve to make Nigeria safe for development, investment, growth, and prosperity, and for everybody. As we continue to work towards completely ending the insurgency in the Northeast and laying the foundations of sustainable peace and development in the region, we are also addressing conflicts between farmers and herders, banditry, and various forms of security challenges. In addition to security, economic diversification, and fighting corruption, our administration priorities for the second term include pursuing improvements in education, healthcare, and agriculture. These priorities reflect our commitment to enhancing the social security of Nigerians as a means of improving their physical security. I am happy to observe that the National Security Strategy reflects this thinking with its emphasis on overall human security. I am pleased also to note that the strategy emerged from a broad-ranging consultative and participatory process that elicited contributions primarily from our security, intelligence, law enforcement agencies, and the armed forces. Other stakeholders, such as ministries, departments, and agencies, and the civil society, were also contributory to this document. As such, this strategy will inform government-wide and society-wide measures designed to promote the public safety and national security. Security is a bottom-to-top operation. Failure at any level leads to serious gaps in overall security. I therefore call on all of you gathered here as heads of ministries, departments, and agencies to see yourselves as stakeholders and partners in the onerous task of securing our people and to demonstrate unity of purpose in implementing this strategy. I commend the National Security Advisor and his team for delivering this document. The task that now lies before us is the execution of the strategy and the achievement of a safer and more secure nation. It is a task to which this administration remains fully
and unreservedly committed. Thank you once again, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
You are watching the live broadcast of the launching of a reviewed document on national security strategy by President Muhammadu Buhari. The maiden edition was in 2014, and this is reviewed now for another 5 years to address ongoing threats.
Thank you very much.
The National Security Advisor Baba Gana Mungunun spoke of multidimensional approach to addressing these national security threats. The key to sustainable peace and growth, as he noted, is security. And as the President said, the job of security is for every Nigerian, and that Nigerians must join hands and be involved in this.
Shortly.
So you saw the unique.
Today is Wednesday, and it's day for the National Executive Council meeting. And we now have to vacate and leave the space now for the National Executive Council meeting to commence.